It's the Score North Twin Show.
A breaking news edition here of State of the Twins Monday. The Twins, according to Jeff Passan, ESPN, are calling up, as he is coining it. What are you laughing at?
Oh, nothing. I just think it's funny that it's like has to be Jeff Passan.
Pass and bomb. He bombs.
Pass and bomb. Yeah.
It's a
It's
pass
not the
and
Twins,
bomb.
but yeah.
He's characterizing it as one of the fastest rising prospects in all of baseball, a former 8th-round pick by the Twins in 2022. Right-handed starting pitcher Zebby Matthews. So he started the season. We've talked about him a little bit on this show. He started the season in High A Cedar Rapids, made 4 starts, lights out, quickly promoted to Double A, lights out the entire time, and then promoted to Triple A with like a week and a half left in July. So we'll get Declan, our resident beat podcaster's thoughts on this. The Sports Dad Judd, I'm Phil Mackey. We are giving away 2 things right now on the Score North app, everybody. We're giving away a 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV that automatically adjusts color and sharpness for your shows and your baseball games. Nearly an $1,800 value. You can register to win this 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV under the listener rewards section of the Score North app. That's also where you can potentially win a 4-pack of tickets to the Renaissance Festival. Listener rewards on the Score North app to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. You see people juggling fire sticks, real live jousting, turkey legs. I don't know if they hit each other with baseball bats. But looks the armor that they wear would make it safer to swing baseball bats.
David Ortiz, yeah.
So, Zebby Matthews, your thoughts?
This is interesting. We talked about it a little bit, and Falvey, when he talked to some reporters with us on Friday before Game 1 of the doubleheader against Cleveland, basically hinted that this was probably going to happen. I mean, the Twins didn't acquire a pitcher at the deadline. Judd was throwing fastballs at Derek Falvey, Phil. We can get into that also in a little bit after asking why didn't they want to do it. Was there any interest in Trevor Bauer, which our YouTube comments love Trevor Bauer, so Judd was able to ask him about that. But internally, their options are obviously very limited, but that also means they're going to have to lean on some of these prospects. And David Festa is kind of going through the motions a little bit. I told Judd yesterday on Extra Innings, I actually didn't hate what I saw from Louis Varland in the start on Friday in Game 2. I actually thought he pitched really well outside of one mistake to Josh Naylor, which he paid for. But now they get Zebby Matthews, who's this control freak, man. I mean, you just don't see... It's one thing to have impeccable control. Carlos Silva at one time had impeccable control, but didn't strike or miss any bats at all. Zebby Matthews can miss bats too, so there's for sure going to be an adjustment. This guy was pitching in high A ball 3 or 4 months ago. Now he's in the big leagues, and he's going to make his debut most likely tomorrow against Kansas City on the mound. But I like this. They are thin on options, and Zebby Matthews might be someone that can hold down a spot here.
It's less than ideal, but with where things are at, I think I prefer this to going back to Varland again, who I firmly believe is a bullpen guy. So do I think like the timing is great? Like this is the time to pop? No, but I do think that they need to do something. And, you know, I think there was a time in the Falvey regime where if you started in high A, the odds of you being in the big leagues in the same summer were very, very small. So one, I think this sort of shows the desperation of we need to find something here, but 2, at least they're going down that path. But, you know, I'm still disappointed, but we'll see. We'll see. And to Declan's point too, you know, David Festa gave you the great outing against the Cubs team that has at times struggled offensively. And yesterday, he's, you know, there's nothing wrong with him. It's just that you're in the big leagues, man. Like, this is the big leagues. These guys, Cleveland works your every at bat like it's their last at bat. Like, this is, you know, high A, great. Double A, more competitive. Triple A, okay, this is awesome. but you're now asking a kid to come up and compete against big league hitters. So it doesn't mean he's going to be great, and that doesn't mean he's a bust. It's just a big ask here, and it's a big ask on Festa too, to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, and by the way, so just right now on MLB Pipeline, Festa is the Twins' 4th best overall prospect, number 1 pitching prospect. Zebby Matthews is the 6th overall prospect on that ranking and the 2nd best. So they've got their 2 best pitching prospects on the MLB Pipeline list up in the middle of August of a pennant chase. I think I was telling you guys off microphone, this is not something that the Twins organization historically has done much of, which is just fast track zooming players through the system. I mean, there was a time where you spent a full year at a level, and then the next year you spent another year at a level, and the idea of starting the season at high A Cedar Rapids and then 3 months later being in the big leagues was unthinkable. I love that they're open-minded to this. I'm with Judd. I mean, going back, it would have been more helpful to just go get somebody at the trade deadline that could help fill out your rotation. But the reality is David Festa and Zebby Matthews have more upside than like a glass ceiling number 5 starter. So there's more volatility in that they could flame out and just not be ready to pitch in the major leagues during a pennant race, and you're going to find that out here. But why not try it? Zebby Matthews, throw him in the fire, see what happens. If it clicks, now all of a sudden you've got one of your best pitching prospects for the last month and a half of the season. And if it doesn't, well, you're kind of back to where you were anyways, hodgepodging the last 2 spots. And it's nice that Simeon Woods Richardson showed up again and put his foot forward. Because if he would have gotten shelled or walked a bunch of guys, you'd be like, my God, now you have 2 wide open spots. So it was helpful that he delivered over the weekend.
And as much criticism as fans and even us and whoever else gives this front office for maybe sometimes not the lack of trades is one thing, and that's a legit conversation. The Twins, under the Falvey regime, have started to produce some pretty good pitching results here. I mean, Bailey Ober has turned into maybe their best, most consistent starter. They've been able to make great trades by getting Duran in here, Joe Ryan in here. Griffin Jax has turned himself into a super reliever. I mean, they've done a pretty good job at finding good pitching. Are they the Cleveland pitching factory, which, by the way, has clearly ran dry right now in terms of the starting pitching depth in Cleveland? But they have started to produce either homegrown or acquiring assets that they can flip and make mechanical tweaks to, and it's working for them. So also, there is a little bit of a credit that has to be due here to the Falvey regime at finding good pitching and making it into big league results.
What fastballs was Judd throwing at the chief baseball officer this weekend at Target Field?
I asked him about the fact that they didn't make a trade and if there was a regret now. And then I got I believe something along the lines of, well, we didn't know Joe was going to get hurt. And that really wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. The question was, yeah, but you still had a lack of depth. If anything went wrong, and it did, this was going to be trouble. And then to find out afterwards that the name that the Twins are investigating is 44-year-old Rich Hill.
You know what? I'm in.
I'm in on Dick Mountain.
Give me some
Dick Mountain. I'm in on Dick Mountain, but I'm just saying the fact that that's like, okay, he's doing a private workout. So, and I did ask about it's and fans want to know, and I've said it's not going to happen. But, we have gotten a ton of questions. Trevor Bauer, pitching in the Mexican League. He's pitching well. He and Falvey have a relationship that goes back to both of their days in Cleveland. Yeah. And Derek, on the record, dismissed it as saying, we don't really talk about guys that aren't with the team, blah, blah, blah. And there's no chance. But I thought it was a fair question.
It's a fair
question. Because people want to know. Yeah, and Trevor Bauer is a name. But anyway, so did I leave that, satisfied that we had our answers? No. But that being said, it's also past the deadline now. I think the next move is, and this is from a baseball perspective, not just a Twins perspective, I think the next move is, when you look at how this works now, we need to go to an August 15th-ish deadline for trades. That's what I think the next move is.
Judd, you and I, we make daily alternating appearances on the Tom Bernard Show, legendary, longtime radio morning show host on KQ. He now does a podcast every single day and a live stream, TomBernardShow.com. And Judd and I jump on that show around 8:10 Central Time every morning. And he was asking me on Friday, he goes, why is there a trade deadline? Why not just like get rid of the trade deadline? And so if on September 25th, if you decided, you know what, I want to give up prospects for basically a week of Max Scherzer or something, or I'm only guaranteed one playoff series, and I'd love for Justin Verlander to be a part of it. Is it just so we don't get a chaotic dumping of trades right at the end of September? Because some teams don't know they're out of it until like September 25th, and now, boom, they all of a sudden turn into sellers, and it's chaos.
And don't we force teams to, if you acquire a player after September 1st, he can't play in the playoffs?
Yeah. I
think we set rosters as well. It's, you know what? 2024, it's not a bad question, but all leagues have them.
Yeah.
So I'm for, we've talked about this before, because obviously Phil and I are the wrestling nuts. Like when the Royal Rumble happens and you know you're going to get 3 to 5 surprises, couple nostalgics, couple just legit surprises. Even 2 weeks ago when Roman Reigns came back at SummerSlam, I thought that was awesome. I would love to go to a game, and with all due respect to the Jeff Passons and the Shams and the Schefters, you just show up to a game and LeBron James is on the Timberwolves that night. He's just there.
You don't know who's
in a Timberwolves uniform.
It's the Twins and the Royals tonight at Target Field. The Royals have announced their starting pitcher, and he'll be facing a mystery opponent on the mound for the Minnesota Twins.
And it's Shohei Ohtani with his bionic flipping, arm
Aaron
guard, just
Judge
stepping into the box. Yeah,
Ohtani's here,
yeah.
and he's pitching. He's pitching. He's back. He's back. So just to put a bow on this pitching conversation, so Zebby Matthews is coming up. We don't know officially as we record this on a Monday morning what the move is. I would think Randy Dobnak probably goes back to AAA. So you've got Bailey Ober, Pablo Lopez, and then Simeon Woods Richardson as the locks right now in your rotation. And then between David Festa, Zebby Matthews, and Louis Varland, who he went back, right?
Varland's not here,
but
right?
he's
he
he's
the extra man. Yeah,
available if needed as an extra man.
Yeah, just don't.
You need 2 of those guys to fill out. 2 of those 3 need to step up and fill out a playoff run rotation.
And it sounds like too Paddock is progressing. And I asked Falvey about the state of him, and Paddock was in the locker room post game yesterday. It sounds like he is progressing, but Falvey didn't rule out rotation or bullpen. I think in a perfect world, if this rotation was at its full strength without the injuries, you put Chris Paddock in the bullpen, and I'm honestly intrigued by that. I'm not saying that you just place him there out of default. I'm actually intrigued by that because he showed you something last year near the end of the year, and he just has a little bit stronger velocity, might be able to develop into some more nastier stuff. But Chris Paddock also someone to watch as he gets healthier and they try to fill out the rotation.
And I don't think Paddock going back into the rotation as much as he is like needed potentially, I don't know for his sake it makes sense. Like I think you would be getting a more effective pitcher. Like if we're talking about just effectiveness, right? Trying to win games. I think if you start Paddock as he currently is, it's going to be short starts. I almost would prefer him to be put into the bullpen if you can make Festa work. I'm not sure that Chris Paddock in the rotation is going to be a huge upgrade on what we saw from Festa on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, if you take sort of a holistic view of Chris Paddock's career to this point, so this was his 6th, it is his 6th year in the major leagues. So over 6 years as a major league pitcher, and he's going to turn 29 years old sometime in the late fall, I believe. He's pitched 423 major league innings in 6 years.
Yeah. Right.
At some point, whether it's arm durability, not one of his main attributes. And even when he's been out there, he hasn't been, according to the numbers, if you look at ERA plus, if you look at some of the metrics, just how hittable he's been, he hasn't been an above average starting pitcher since 2019. So we're talking about a below average starting pitcher who isn't durable enough to fill out innings in your rotation. This all screams time for a career shift to the bullpen. And maybe that can start September of 2024 in the middle of a playoff run where you can hump up 97 miles an hour and be the cowboy coming out for the sixth or seventh inning of close game. Like,
and
it could
Dick
be,
Mountain starts. 44-year-old Dick Mountain on the hill swearing up a storm.
I think we turned that sheriff, that is Chris Paddock, into a deputy. A really good deputy, too.
Come on out. It's not
a demotion.
It's a one-inning gunfight, dude.
It's not a demotion. Or
Howdy,
Marshal.
partner. Sixth.
Yeah, Marshal. I forget how
sixth.
this works. I forget what the sheriff, deputy, marshal rankings are in terms of the. I think sheriff's top, but I don't know.
We can look it up.
I think deputy's fine. Yeah.
Okay, before let's get to an abbreviated sort of version of the Monday state of the Twins here. After we shout out a couple of our friends, Judd, starting with Park Tavern, a great place to watch a ball game, by the way.
Oh, absolutely is. In fact, there is no game that they can't find. It's the official sports bar of Sports Dad, of course, located in my neck of the woods here in St. Louis Park. I liken Park Tavern to an amusement park for adults. Why? Because it's got a little bit of everything. It's got multiple bars. It's got bowling. So, like, if you take the family and you're like, well, the kids are going to be bored. No, they're not. They can bowl. You can sit there and enjoy a couple of beverages, wide variety of beers. And if you're planning a party, so like, I don't know, an office party, anniversary, guess what? Park Tavern has you covered. And I'm not talking like some, oh my gosh, we got 20 people. If you had 20 people just show up, I'm talking about a party. Like, it's going to be a big one. They've got rooms. Cheryl does a great job. There's nothing she has not seen as far as having to accommodate a group. Parktavern.net, located Highway 7 and Louisiana South, St. Louis Park. Again, if you just want to watch a game, chill, and get some great food, Park Tavern, parktavern.net is where you find them.
Nicolay Law is here also as the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily and other podcasts across Score North. Nicolay Law, by the way, Russell Nicolay, huge fan and supporter of Minnesota sports teams. You see I think his billboards right now are Twins themed around Minneapolis too. And so he's one of us, just sweating these Minnesota sports teams. Nicolay Law, proud to serve the communities that they live in around the Twin Cities. They're just normal folks who happen to have law degrees that can help you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay and start your path to winning at nicolaylaw.com or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. Okay. So here's the overview. 65-52 is the record after losing back-to-back games on Saturday and Sunday to Cleveland. They're still second place in the AL Central, 3.5 games out, 8th in runs scored per game. The Twins are 16th in runs allowed per game, 84% chance to make the playoffs according to Baseball Reference, 6% chance to win the whole bleeping thing. Let's actually skip to the favorite current Twins thing category. Dex, what is your favorite current Twins thing?
I'm going to go completely off the beaten path here. I think Judd actually might know where I'm going to go because I was mentioning him a lot over the 3 of the 4 games against Cleveland this weekend. My favorite thing is Christian Vazquez. Christian Vazquez, after a horrendous start and doing some iron pumping, which is great, over the
needs to do some more iron pumping.
I don't know. Over the last 30 games, if I told you Christian Vazquez is slashing 295, 333, and 495 slugging. That's a pretty good slash line for a basically
used an
backup
extra
catcher.
6 inches on that fly ball to left.
Yeah, well, or a wind tunnel, one of the two. But we couldn't get either of those things going. So regardless, though, his play on Friday in doubleheader, which caused Christian Vazquez, I want to repeat this, Christian Vazquez caused a balk. He literally forced the Cleveland Guardians pitcher into a balk. And I know there was some controversy there. I asked Rocco kind of off the record a little bit on postgame, like, do you actually think that was a balk? 'Cause it was a little bit, it wasn't decisive if that was a balk. I think a lot of people were split if it was. And there was a flinch. And on top of Vazquez's kind of bouncing around at third base, it's a loud crowd. The Twins are also yelling. It caused the pitcher to balk. I mean, Christian Vazquez was basically unplayably bad offensively for the first 2 months, 3 months of the season. Over the last month, that is a phenomenal slash line. He calls a good game. He's forcing pitchers into box. I love what I've seen from Christian Vazquez over the last month.
He finally, it took a year and a half after the 3-year contract for him to be the guy that they signed, before last year, but nice of him to join the part just in time. as Ryan Jeffers' offense is kind of, it's not quite
noise.
the same as it was back in April, May, and last year. Okay, Jeb, what's your favorite current Twins thing?
So a week ago, we were talking about the fact that Byron Buxton was playing a ton and he was going great guns, and he ran into the wall a week ago at Target Field and then proceeded to miss all 3 games against the Cubs, and I think we all thought, oh boy, okay, here we go again. Well, Buxton misses the 3 games, comes back, and he is still locked in at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Hit 2 home runs on Sunday. Easily could have had a third. A third went just foul and would have been his most impressive home run, I think, of the day. But Byron Buxton in center field alone, if he can play, it's awesome. But if he remains locked in at the plate, he is one of the Twins, if Carlos Correa is playing, best players. And so the fact that Buxton, you know what I think? I think they held Buck out because of the ballpark. I think they would have held him out 1 game because of the back.
The brick behind the
ivy. Brick behind the wall. And don't forget, too, during his playing days with the Twins, I think especially, Torrey Hunter had the Cubs on his no-trade list because of that. Because he's like, I ain't playing center field in a place where there's ivy and brick. So anyway, long story short, Byron Buxton coming back and like picking up at the plate and looking dialed in is my favorite thing.
Yeah. So this is one of the best 2-month stretches of his entire career. And he's had some red hot stretches where he's carrying this team. Since June 7th, it's a span of 45 total games, and the Twins are 27-18 in those games that he plays, which kind of aligns with his career. When he plays, he's huge added value. But over that 45-game stretch, he's batting .331 with an on-base percentage just a tick below 400, and he's slugging .688, an OPS of 1,082, 13 homers, 15 doubles. Obviously, it's hard to sustain that 2-month pace for a full 162, but the 162-game version of this Byron Buxton is 47 homers, 119 RBIs, 130 runs scored, and then the same batting average on base and slugging that I just told you. Insane.
And when he is locked in, the ball explodes off his bat.
Yep.
I mean, explodes. It's not a nice little, bang. It is a boom.
It's not a bang. It's a
not
boom.
A bang. It's a
Not
boom.
It's
Like it's a
Mack truck,
like if you were told to turn around and watched Twins games a ton and said who hit that ball, there's a distinctive Buxton sound.
Yeah. No, he's been magnificent.
Great to see
the home runs this weekend. It's just, I'll give you one just on a team level. My favorite current Twins thing. Last year, they set the major league record for team strikeouts offensively. They were just giving away all these outs. Well, this year, in terms of percentage of plate appearances that end in a strikeout, top 10 on the good side. So they rank 21st in strikeout percentage, which puts them in the top 10 lowest strikeout rates. Just putting the ball in play. Even if it's an extra handful of times over the course of a weekend, put the ball in play, move a guy over, score an extra run, the small ball way. That's the thing that stood out the most. You get rid of these automatic outs in your lineup, and you get some guys, whether Austin Martin, Brooks Lee before the injury, just guys that can put the bat on the ball. Willie Castro, he had a big strikeout yesterday with the bases loaded, nobody out. But I think that's a huge reason why their offense has taken a jump in terms of run scoring and why their record is better than where it was a year ago. So, okay, least favorite current Twins thing, Dex.
Least favorite thing for me, this throwing motion and yips. I don't even know if I want to call them yips. Maybe I can call them yips. From Royce Lewis at third base, defensively have been a problem. They were on full display this weekend. 2 errors, should have been 3. He's sailing throws, skipping throws. Now, Carlos Santana is a wizard. Defensively, he's great. You had Jose Miranda there yesterday, I believe, into the series finale. But some of these throwing woes, and I think they can be fixed. He's a young player. I know Trevor Plouffe, who joins us on Tuesdays, has kind of talked about this. But I'm not at the point where I'm like holding my breath on a ground ball down the line at the hot corner, but there's been some throws that have just been, whoa, that wasn't even close. And for a complete player and a tenacity like that Royce Lewis has, I know this is not going to be a long-term problem for him. I don't see it being a long-term problem. But right now, I do think defensively there's a little bit of a problem there with Royce Lewis at third base.
Yeah.
I think long term, he is in the outfield and Brooks Lee's at third base.
Does he like a corner spot? Do we think is that a thing for next year? So
I think
if everyone's healthy, Brooks Lee is going to be either
I play
base
Brooks
or
Lee at third. Yeah, I play Brooks Lee at third base. He looks fantastic there. I mean, you know what? Julian has started to hit a little bit again now, and I mean, I'm not done with him. Like he could, if he spends the winter working on the things that he probably has to, he could be fine. And this is not an indictment of Royce. I just think with Royce's arm, I actually could see him at target field and right field with Kepler gone.
How do you think, Royce has been vocal at times the last couple of years about things that he was pretty public about. I feel like I should be playing earlier than the Twins are letting me. Right. And sometimes there feels like a little bit of headbutting. What do you think Royce's reaction would be if this winter they went to him, and Scott Boras is his agent, right? Mm-hmm. If they went to Royce and Scotty B and said, hey, we want you to play left or right field because we're going to put Brooks Lee at third and we think Julian's ready to jump back in the mix at second base. Do you think he'd be down for that, or do you think it'd be a contentious discussion?
Part of me says, I know Royce just wants to play, and he'll play anywhere, whether it's DHing or third base, or a maybe position change into right field. But also there's a part of me that probably there's some pride there with Royce. He's a very prideful guy, and I could see him not being on board with it to start.
Right.
I'm trying. I would think my former thought process there of him just wanting to play every day and he'll do it, I think eventually wins that battle. But it is an interesting conundrum for a guy that's played the left side of his infield his whole life basically at third and shortstop, and now you're going to go move to right field. I could see him putting up some boundaries or guards on that too.
There's no shame in that though. Like if Kepler's gone, I mean, right field, as Phil knows well, right field at target field is a very tricky place to play. You've got three potential surfaces that balls hit off on. Kepler's become very adept at that.
I thought you were going to make a joke about, like, as Phil knows well, they moved him to right field as a freshman in high school.
Oh, no. I am not one to indict my friends on their sports skills, considering my own. But Royce does have, there's no question, he's got a cannon for an arm. Like, he profiles to me as a guy that could play right field for the Twins for a long period of time.
He's a great athlete.
Yeah. So like, I don't, it's the big leagues. I don't think that would be, now if they went to him and said, you're going to DH full time, then you got a problem, but you're not going to do that. So I think it'd be good.
Yeah. Okay, Judd, your least favorite current Twins thing.
My least favorite current Twins thing comes from the Twins stats game notes that came out before the game on Sunday. And I'm just going to, and I ran through this with Dex on an extra innings episode on Sunday. But my least favorite thing is when you look at the pitching matchups for the next 3 games against KC, okay? So we're obviously recording this on Monday, and it's a Pablo day. That's fine. He's been up and down, 4.74 ERA, but he's still a top or near the top of your rotation. And the next 2 games, obviously one is now we know who's going to start, but the next 2 games at that time were listed as TBA. Let me give you who the Royals are going to throw at you, okay? And baseball's weird, so the Twins could win 2 or 3, they could sweep it. But just from a standpoint, Brady Singer is going to start Monday, 3.03 ERA. Seth Lugo, who's had a phenomenal year. He's won 13 games, more importantly, 2.72 ERA. And then in the getaway game on Wednesday, it is Southpaw Cole Reagan's 3.27. This is where I feel you're behind the 8 ball when you look at what Kansas City has done and from a starting pitching standpoint, and you go Lopez, TBA. I know Ryan got hurt, but guys get hurt. And if you expect Zebby Matthews to ride in and absolutely save the day. I think it's being naive. Hopefully he can, but we don't know. My least favorite thing is looking at pitching matchups like that and seeing KC well constructed and the Twins sort of hodgepodge in it.
I will say, though, the Twins offense, and I understand Judd saying there is obviously a gap between this team's pitching and that team's pitching starters. That is clear. The Twins, this is also what gives me hope in the playoffs. They have hit some of the best pitchers in baseball this season. They took 3 of 4 against the Mariners staff, which is one of the best staffs, if not the deepest staff in baseball. They took 2 of 3 against a really good Phillies team, or at the time, really good Phillies team. I know they've been reeling. Regardless, that's still a really good pitching staff that they have. They've held their own against some really good pitchers this season, and they're 5-2 against the Royals, who are plucking on their heels, and this can change pretty damn quick, as we know in a 3-game series. But they've handled the Royals pretty well. And Bailey Ober doesn't have to pitch against the Royals for the next 3 days, I think.
Well, that's another problem too. When you're ace, now it's like, I'm glad he doesn't have to pitch against the Royals.
That's, first of all, I think wasn't the first start in Kansas City, or one of them was the bad one.
One was in KC, one was here.
But there's something weird happening. I'm not convinced. I am not convinced that it's just such a hitter. It's Coors Field 2.0.
Cleveland's got the wind tunnel. Phil's got the Royals.
Dude, it's insane. The Royals have a 100-point difference between their team OPS at home versus on the road. This lineup bats 236 with a 289 OBP on the road. You won't have to score that many runs against this Royals team this weekend. At home, they are basically Barry Bonds in the steroid era. So I don't know, man. Like it's historic. When you look at a gap that's this wide, like Whit Merrifield's another one where if you look at, he's literally Larry Walker, Coors Field, 1995 at Kauffman Stadium. And then on the road, he's a jag. So someone look into that. Dex, find a TikToker to do some research.
I'll repurpose
why
that
this
for
is
you.
happening.
I mean, Bobby Witt, who I love, and is probably going to be a top 3, maybe 5 MVP getter this season. He's having a great year. He's hitting .403 and slugging .728 at Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah. Okay.
That's insane.
Okay,
and he has,
guys.
he has an 800 OPS, 798 OPS on the road.
The wind's been blowing a little bit more this summer, I guess, in Kansas City.
Good God, that 1.184, that is prime Barry Bonds. He is prime Barry Bonds at Kauffman Stadium.
Witt is gone. He's with
Merrifield.
The Braves now. So
yeah.
I'm sorry. I meant Bobby Witt.
You meant Bobby
Witt?
Witt.
Oh, Bobby Witt?
What did I say? Whit Merrifield?
Whit Merrifield, who's now bounced
I thought I
around.
said Witt. No, I didn't. Sorry.
What?
I was going to say, before
Bobby
we get
Witt.
a Royals
Bobby
fan,
Witt.
you guys are idiots. You don't even know who plays for our team.
My bad. Bobby Witt. Okay, real quick. I know we got to go. My least favorite Twins thing. Just 2 quick things. I know that he played a doubleheader on Friday. I don't love sitting Royce Lewis at this point. You're playing the Guardians. If you have to sit him later, like in the month a couple times, can we get Royce Lewis to DH on Saturday? You're scrounging for runs. I don't love just sitting him and bringing him in as a pinch hitter. And then the second thing is the Twins blew a golden opportunity this weekend to at least take 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
On Saturday, Cleveland didn't have 1 plate appearance with a runner in scoring position. They hit 2 solo home runs and put 4 guys on base over 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. The Twins were 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position over the 2 games, and then, of course, leaving the bases loaded with nobody out. Clase is a stud. He's one of the hardest relievers to hit in all of baseball, but it just felt like get one of those 2 games and leave taking 3 out of 4.
When you sweep on Friday, you say, you know what?
We're getting 3
of 4.
Yeah.
3 of 4.
There were some weird things, even like they allowed 2 runs or less, which is just the Twins' second time they've lost, allowing 2 runs or less on Saturday. Yesterday they score first. The Twins win about 80% of the time when they score first. So just a couple weird things, couple weird ways. But yes, it is a little disappointment when you began Saturday just a game and a half back. You've chipped away at this lead finally, and now you begin play on Monday in the exact same spot you started before the series even started.
I will say on Sunday, the Guardians literally wore the Twins down. The at-bats were, Dex and I were talking about
Cleveland.
it. Just like it was a Red Sox game circa 2006. Yeah. Like they extended at-bats. They literally
bases,
literally wore Festa out. Like, I don't think he had much gas left. They steal bases.
Yeah.
The play to end the game, the double play, was incredible. So, like, they're not playing well right now, but you can see in watching Cleveland, you can see some of the reasons why they've been successful. They play the game really, really smart.
Yeah. So there's your State of the Twins Monday here. We'll see. Aggressive move, tapping another pitching prospect.
Zebby.
I love it, man. See what happens. And
It's a great name, by the way.
Zebby.
I saw someone, I don't know if this was in The Athletic, someone did like a profile on him, and I think his college coach said he wants to make a T-shirt with Zebby, but then 2 X's crossed out the B's to clarify that he doesn't walk anyone. So you put X's on the B's,
that's good.
on the BB, and Zebby. So it's now he's just Z.
Yeah.
I guess Z. One of them.
Or is it Zexy?
Zexy. I'll hopefully get to meet him today at an extra inning. So maybe there'll be maybe a little more intel on Zebby Matthews. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, if you haven't, click the subscribe button on the Score North Twin Show YouTube channel. That's where we're pumping out these regular episodes, plus Declan's extra innings episodes. Declan's in the clubhouse on a regular basis. So, baseball. Yeah. All right, we'll see. Royals and Twins, another showdown in the middle of the biggest week of games of the entire season here. And we'll see you guys for a Trevor Plouffe Tuesday tomorrow on the show.